We are very excited to have this closing session with Don, who is one of the people behind the Urban Wood Network in the States. And so as we like, it is our ambition to set up a local chapter here in Europe of this Urban Wood Network. We are really happy to be able to thrive of his knowledge and experience. Don is going to first start with like a brief presentation, giving us some insight on the achievements and the working there, and then we will engage in a more interview format that will be led by Stefan. But don't hesitate already to in the chat also ask questions. Anyway, after this presentation, there will be a moment to, if you want to split up in groups or have a collective conversation, to still keep the flow and the energy of the day around. So Don, if you would like to start off with your presentation.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I do have a lot of slides that I'm going to go through very quickly because I'm more interested in the discussion, but I want to give you a quick overview of where we're at. So let me get here. Urban Wood Network was actually started in 2017 from a grant that from the U.S. Forest Service from 2014. And it was called the Full Circle Project, trying to figure out how to, urban trees have their highest value while they're living, but they're not a waste when they're dead. So how do we utilize them? So Urban Wood Network came out of that effort, but we are a network of groups. We are not a organization like I've been hearing some of the other groups. So I will give you a quick overview. Our mission is to inform, collaborate, and connect to build community, business, and consumer confidence in the urban wood industry. And we're providing outreach and technical assistance to these groups are who we've identified: the municipalities, the arborists, the sawyers, the value-added producers, the retailers, and the advocates. We're here to promote sustainability, get greater visibility of urban wood products, provide technical assistance, use a shared brand. We're also talking about certification. One of our members right now is developing a certification program. We're also producing marketing materials, product recognition, networking is what we're all about, and developing training opportunities is something that was a big thing that came up yesterday. We had our first annual conference yesterday. It was supposed to be in person, but ended up being virtual because of COVID. I heard our last count was we had 374 people attending. So it was a great conference. So here's our model that we're looking at. Arborists and municipalities, sawmills and suppliers, manufacturers, design professionals in the green building industry. Our Urban Wood Network, landowners can be anybody who owns land in a urban environment. It can be schools, it can be medical facilities, it can be industrial, it can be parks. Arborists, we've also used, I'll have one example coming up where we've also used loggers within cities to take wood out. Wood producers, wood users. Wood users, we're talking about somebody who makes the value-added products. Advocates who are out there promoting the use of urban wood. And then of course the consumers. So our tenants are, they have their highest value while living. And then what is the highest and best use of urban forest products for a sustainable urban forestry economy? And increased end user demand for urban forest products is essential. I've heard that in the previous presentation you guys had. And we will effectively achieve its mission through collaboration and information sharing. So we're a conduit, we're a facilitator. Our steering committee, we got 3 people right now. Jennifer Elger is out of California, Joe Lennon is out of Virginia, and Dwayne Sperber is out of Wisconsin. So right now we have 103 members. We have 2 existing chapters. We have members from 21 states and 3 countries, Belgium and Switzerland being the other 2 right now. Our goal is to be a network or an association of local chapters, but until we get chapters established in some of these states or communities, we have individual memberships. And here's just looking at some of the webinars we've done. If you go to our website, we have all kinds of archived webinars. Webinar number 4 here, Starting a State Urban Wood Network. I know Stefan said that that was a particular interest in how to start a chapter. That one would cover that. And just our one that's coming up in the near future here on December 15th, which is pretty late in the day for Europe, but how do you get urban wood policy in communities? You know, a lot of what we heard Mary Eve talk about in the previous one is, you know, working with the municipalities. That's a big thing that we do as well. Just some other webinars that we've had out there, just to give you an idea. And this was one we did targeting architects and designers. And this was one of our partners, Wisconsin Urban Wood, which was our first really solid chapter. And then we also pulled California in a couple of years later. But Wisconsin Urban Wood has been in existence from 2014. And we are working a lot with the architects. And one slide I wish I would have put in here is we actually got, I think, 20,000 board feet put into the Pfizer Forum, which is the new venue for the Milwaukee Bucks National Basketball Association team. So we are making inroads with the architects. Here's just showing where we're at right now. It's kind of different. The orange is the Wisconsin chapter. The light green is our West Coast chapter, Western region we call it. But within that, we just recently got a Forest Service grant to expand our efforts. And the dark green states are the ones that we're forming chapters in right now. We've had enough members where we're starting to build that local chapter, local network. And here's just how I ended our talk yesterday is, you know, with our group for our annual meeting is connect with our Urban Wood network, learn about Urban Wood, identify your network, and be a local champion. It's just, you got to create that effort locally. And we've got a lot of people that are working in different parts of our country that are doing it all a little differently, but learning from each other. So with that, I'm going to now jump into some slides of what our members actually do, some examples. Here's a dumpster model where they, I believe it's for $300 that they fill this dumpster up and it gets delivered to a mill, and the mill then sorts out what they can saw and then what might go to firewood or another use. Here's a typical urban wood pile coming from a community where we got to sort through and figure out what's usable for what product. And here's a numbering system to tell the story of the tree. So these numbers correlate to where that tree was cut. So when a product is made from it, it can trace back to where that stump was, where that tree was. So people that are interested can say, okay, this is a product made from a tree that was on my street corner or in my city. Just a typical sawmill operation that we have. Just showing some live edge slabs that have come out of these operations. Here's one of our very unique members. Thought this was something that would catch people's eyes. And just to sample some of the products, Taylor Guitars is one of our big ones out there that is using urban wood right now. A lot of other products out there. This is just one example of urban wood in a commercial setting. This is making a conference table, and there it is completed. Working with architects, like I said with the webinar, it's been essential. We've had urban wood designated for new building projects, a library in Madison, Wisconsin, I mentioned the basketball arena, so it's been a slow process, but it's happening. And one thing we've done to try to get the public involved is do these urban forest fests. We've done 4 of them now, and our 2020 got canceled because of COVID. So I got the one up here from 2019. And this is a mix of events, activities, and our vendors. This is a really popular one where we have our arborist members take the kids up in the tree, and it's just a really unique experience. Showing another event we have for the kids. And then going into, tree removal. If you get single trees, if you get a black walnut like this, it's high value. What was talked about in the previous presentation is the cost of utilizing trees. And if you get a single tree, it's kind of hard sometimes to get that utilization out of them. Where you have multiple emerald ash borer, as I heard in the previous conversation, is a big thing. That's what we're all about these days. And where you get multiple trees down, the more volume you get, the more markets you have the opportunity to get into. This is a very unique one. We actually took 4,000 trees out of 2 parks and 2 golf courses, and we used mechanized logging equipment in an urban situation. Did this 4 years ago. It worked out very well. It was a very unique experience. Here's some of the logs that came from that operation. And this is just another example of the type of sign rigs that one of our members has. Paul Morrison Wood Cycle, one of our members from Wisconsin, one of his products. And then, here's our argument on why utilize urban trees. Reduce the handling costs for the waste that used to be, promote utilization of our wood resource, and why aren't urban trees part of the recycling movement? And the story, that's what we keep saying, is sell the story. We're not just selling the wood, we're selling the story. Let your tree live on in your house. Public awareness of wood products, and then carbon sequestration are other things that are being promoted. Paul Morrison, who I just mentioned, this is a book he made that describes the movement very well. It's very good reading. And then the benefits that we sell to try to recruit members is it's a sales tool to homeowners. As you know, a lot of homeowners get a tree cut out of their yard, and it's tears. So how do you make it live on? Is there a product we can make that you can put in your house? And then for municipalities, use urban wood products in your facilities or on your properties, and I'll have examples of that. Here's Hoppy Tree Service. This is a very unique individual from Wisconsin. He started as an arborist, but he has his urban wood lab here that shows the showroom. He has a showroom, but then here's also the urban wood lab. So he's totally expanded his business from just cutting the trees to actually utilizing them. And this is showing his showroom here on the left. One of our other members, he just has a semi-trailer that he puts the slabs in, and his customers come in and pick what they want. The crazy guy with the giant piece of wood here is out of California, and this is a unique showroom they have that's working very well for them. This is back still Hoppy Tree Service. This is a maple tree cut out of this family's yard, and they made the table out of it right here. And then everybody in the family got a wood product that was made from that tree to remember that tree that the kids climbed in, that they had rope swings on. So the memory lives on even though the tree was cut. This is a solar kiln that one of our municipality members made, the city of Stoughton. A solar kiln, they contract for their logs to be sawn up. They actually dry the lumber and then use them in projects like this one. This is a boardwalk made out of ash. And this is near a medical facility and a nursing home where people actually come out in wheelchairs and go along this lake area. So this is one of our really creative municipal members. They also sell lumber to the public from trees cut in the community. And from waste management to resource management, that's what we're here to promote. And I just wanted to throw this one in here. This is one of our newest members, or newest partners, I should say, Cambium Carbon, which they're creating a new system. They're working with communities to develop plans for how to utilize urban wood. And I actually was just introduced to them on our webinar yesterday. And that's what I have. And I can stop sharing.
Hey, thanks, Don. Thanks a lot for this great overview. So again, like I've been saying this in the past session, but for us in Brussels here, when we started up our little adventure, it was such a great asset for us to have the Urban Wood Network and all these initiatives that you kind of have in the US. To show it's possible, huh? Like, I mean, it's obviously possible. They're doing it. Like, you know, it's such a great inspiration, but also really a way to get people on board by having these pictures and just say, like, you know, it's not just an idea. It's definitely feasible. I would like to give directly the opportunity to ask questions from the audience. Like, are there questions? Like we have Celine also, who's an architect. You mentioned the role of architects and that it took some time also to get urban wood into architecture projects. Celine, do you want to ask a question, or anybody else in the audience? Otherwise, I'll have loads of questions.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Martin.
It's really interesting, Dan. When you spoke about the numbers, so that you're right on the tree, how does it allow you, like how does it work, the system?
There are several different systems right now that our members are working with. This one is a really crude one. It's basically just handwritten out on the site and then entered into the computer in a database back at the shop. That was in particular for Wood Cycle, which they don't cut the trees down, but they have a sawmill, and then they produce the value-added products on site. So they have their own system. We have our California member is actually working on a different tracking system right now. So there's a number of different models out there, and we're trying to come up with the easiest, simplest one right now.
Like from my side, like, you know, I mean, would be interesting to get a bit like to take further advantage of your experience. Like, if you I was happy to see you in the sessions before. Like, if you look at maybe situations in which cities just start to do things right now, and like there's first pioneers that are coming up, like what from your perspective are kind of recommendations that you could you know, give to send us on our way? Like, you know, what's maybe mistakes to avoid, or you know, things that definitely work that you should go for?
And I guess in listening to the previous session, we're a little different model with our members, you know, where Mary Eve was talking about building their own sawmill. What we're trying to promote, actually, I have a cooperative urban wood industry cluster plan that I got with a small grant that I put together that I'm looking to implement somewhere. So I'm very interested to talk to her further, but I don't know about mistakes as much as just keeping the message going constantly is, you know, it's always, we've always done it this way. You know, it's a lot easier just to bring it to the, you know, dispose of it. But as we can start to show examples of here's the actual cost savings if you utilize versus, you know, chipping it up. So it's just constantly promoting that message is what I've learned. And with municipalities, I had an example. I had 176 slides to start with, and I cut it down to 46. And as you guys were talking, I said, geez, I wish I would have put that slide in there. You know, we had one municipality, their planning department actually had nothing but urban wood furnishings in their office. So to get those municipalities to actually promote utilizing the trees cut from their community, I just think is one of the best advertisements we can get. And it shows them being responsible with the resource.
With this, I mean, obviously not all the municipalities jump on board and become more dynamic and more ambitious with what they do with the wood. Like, how do you explain that some municipalities do it and some don't? Is it like what does it come down to? Is it like the political will, or is it the administration, or like legislation, or?
And that's interesting that you brought it up. Two of the slides I had addressed that. The last one we used yesterday, where it's talking about a champion. I've noticed you need a champion. If you get one voice in a community that really starts to push it, it kind of gets that groundswell movement. So I just think you know, you need to find that person or that group, and that's what the network does for us. I'll just use an example. The city of Milwaukee, actually, they truck all of their roundwood from, I think it's a 6-inch diameter on up to a sawmill 30 miles away. And even though they have the cost of transporting it, it still is cost effective for them to do that and just give the wood away rather than what they used to do with it. So it's working with those individual municipalities. And now we are getting more and more examples that, okay, this model might not fit with you, but how about this one? Or there might be a combination of how two previous municipalities work. So it is a slow process. Like I said, Wisconsin Urban Wood has been around since 2014, and I believe we only have 9 municipality members right now, and our fee for a municipality is $100. So it's not, it's just getting that mentality and working with that mentality.
Maybe it's interesting because we have Arnaud here with us. Who works together with the municipality of Leuven. So maybe, I don't know if I don't attack you too much in surprise, if you can give also maybe some insights in how Leuven is like tackling this, because they're quite like moving forward there, aren't they?
We look at Leuven as a pioneer, as a, no? Arnaud.
Well, we hope so. We have very good contact with the city and the ANB, the Flemish organization from the government for nature preservation. And they are really pushing us into developing the project. So the project in this case started in our minds. We talked about it with them. And they were very enthusiastic. So in this case, the municipal is really pushing us to develop the project.
I had another question because Don, you need some people here with us today are also involved in forestry operations outside of cities, but are still very much urban in the sense that the market is in urban context, and we try to link cities to forests outside of the city. Maybe can you share a bit maybe the experience or the stories of members of the network that are in a similar situation, that also have like forestry operations in their activities?
We really don't have that situation. We do have members that do both, where they have a sawmill where they will saw wood from a traditional forest, what I'll call traditional, and we do have that in between. And we've been talking about that. We've got small wood lots of, you know, wood. I'm trying to figure in hectares, probably a quarter of a hectare to up to a hectare, and where do they fit in? And basically, you know, the definition we put on urban trees is that their primary value is living and not they're not being harvested for that value. They were cut down and then being reclaimed or recycled. So we do have members. That one example I had where we took 44,000 trees out from that one operation, that actually went to a commercial sawmill. My goal there was we had them separate all that lumber out and we were going to market it as urban lumber, but we could not find the market for it. So it ended up going into traditional markets. So, but it was utilized. But that's, we're trying to, I think there's a marriage that can happen between traditional industry and the urban industry in certain aspects. And then in other aspects, I was fascinated with the first one I jumped in on with the carpentry is, you know, how do you do both a full-time job and a hobbyist? And I think that's where our industry is very unique. We have some full-time urban wood guys, but we have a lot of hobbyists out there that just like to do it. And then they jump into it full-time. Some of them just keep doing it as a hobby. But sorry, I got away from your original question there, but we don't have a lot of, I can't think of any communities we have that actually manage their forest as forest. They're more as a park, and then trees are removed because of safety. And they're not really looked at as a wood product. And that's where we come in to try to get that balance.
And the forestry industry is also like really run quite separately. Like you also have do you also have this this development that the wood is being exported to Asia? Is that also something happening in the US, or? You're muted now.
Oh, sorry about that. It was interesting what Mary Eve said about the logs going to China, because we are not permitted to do that. We cannot, they have to be treated. If we export, we try to sell the lumber, but I don't know of any urban wood that has gone to China. We are trying to create that local demand, and we've had pretty good success with it. I was interested to hear comments on ash, because we do use ash in flooring, in a lot of applications besides just making products from it. But it's not used in the building application, but it can be used in more of you know, the aesthetics of it, and you know, for paneling and that sort of thing. So ash is definitely one of our big things with most of our members right now.
Hi, I have a question. Hi Don. Thanks for a really amazing presentation. It's kind of nice to see that, you know, you have developed this critical mass as a urban wood network. I'm just wondering whether you have found any opportunities to influence planning, and how and what and like how or what kind of trees are being replanted in the urban space.
Yes, actually, one of the examples that I used yesterday is we're working with a planning department in one of our city members, and they've had two projects where they've had trees removed, one for a fish passage and one for safe routes to schools. And we've actually got all those trees utilized because of our network in that planning office. And that planning office had all urban wood products within their office to show that that city was utilizing them. But as far as planting, we typically don't get into that. As Mary Eve mentioned, the cities have their own management plans to do that. And that's one of our issues, is the urban foresters, the city foresters that typically manage the trees don't know utilization. We don't do the other end because they do that. But yes, the planning to put different species in that might not be susceptible, or to not have a species that is a majority within a city is definitely something that's been on the docket for a lot of municipalities. So A lot of them have the policy that no more than 10% of any one species can be, or 10% of the crown cover in a city cannot be of any one species.
Okay, are there any other questions at this point? Otherwise, we can move to the next and final part of the event. No, okay. Like thanks again, Don. Was great. I have zillions of other questions to you about like how to create a chapter and how you did it all. But we call it a day for the official part of this local wood summit. So thanks to all for participating today.